Hello, excuse me. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I talk about how I lost 97.4 pounds, how you might be, after starting the ketogenic protocol, how you might be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life like I did. I'm a little discombobulated because my producer, also known as my old man, also known as my lovely mate, apparently has forgotten that I go live at 10 a.m. on Saturdays, and I believe he's getting ready to crank up a chainsaw. So if you hear that, apologies. It's nice to know that he's totally consumed with my life. Not. So, anyway, thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. And let's get on with this because, oh, first of all, if you are new to this platform, then you are welcome to comment or not comment. You don't have to. And if you're okay with it, I will share any comments or questions on screen. Thank you. And today's topic, I think it's one that a lot of us struggle with in one way or another. The thumbnail says, nobody gets a vote. No one gets a vote on what we eat. But there's the other side of that. Whereas we don't get a vote on what anyone else eats either, even though we think we have the key to success. And what is that key? And let me, refresh your memory if you have forgotten or if you've never heard it. I'm going to share with you how, the way I learned the ketogenic protocol and how I have practiced it for now over 11 and a half years. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer. Total carbs, not net carbs. Net carbs just means more carbs. There goes the old man to the workshop. He's totally forgotten. He's usually in the background. Maybe I'll text him since we're a whole 35 feet away from each other. Anywho, keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer. Total carbs, not net carbs. Don't eat if you're not hungry. By far, I believe, the most challenging part of this. The food, memorizing the food is easy. Fatty sources of protein, limited amounts of non-starchy vegetables, limited amounts of full-fat dairy. But don't eat if you're not hungry. Oosh, that's more than memorization. That's behavior. Stop eating when you've had enough. Second hardest part. And then I've added be patient and persevere. That's the protocol. And, when you say it like that, you say, well, that's really simple. Why doesn't everybody do it? Well, because not everyone's going to. I did a video on that, a live stream on that a few weeks ago. If it's so great, why didn't everybody do it? Or if it's, so great, why do some people stick with it and some people don't? But I want to share something today that I found rather poignant. It's something that a person wrote in a message. And let me see if I can share it on screen with you. And this is relating, and I have their permission to share this. I'm not going to share any names, but I have their permission to share this. Let's see if I can do this now. That's what gets challenging. So, okay. So this is a message that was under one of my posts, my snippets on my patron support group. I don't know if you can read it, but I'll read it out for you. At my father's wake last month, I was faced with seeing family members who had known me as heavy my entire life. Now 65 pounds lighter, they were quite surprised and congratulated me on my transformation. As we ate at the restaurant afterward, they asked what I had done. I explained that I keep my carbs below 20 grams per day. My cousin's wife, who is quite heavy and has type 2 diabetes with a newly installed insulin pump, said, quote, wow, that's like no carbs at all, end quote. She explained that she has to estimate how many carbs she's about to eat, then enter that number into her pump so it can dispense the appropriate insulin to offset what she consumes. I watched as she tallied up her sandwich roll, lemonade, and the planned on carrot cake dessert and entered over 280 grams of carbs into the pump for that single meal. Then she told me she doesn't have to watch her carbs because she can just take insulin to offset them. I was shocked and found myself wondering how someone so sick and suffering would continue choosing the very foods that are harming her health. I think about that encounter often. I'm thankful that I'm choosing to keep carbs and sugars away from myself so I can support my body rather than punish it daily with foods that make me sick. I continue to quietly lead by example and for anyone around me, and I'm grateful that my partner saw my success and is now following a ketogenic diet with me. But ultimately, we each choose the food we eat. It really is one of the few things we can truly control. And I heartily agree. Of all the things in life over which we have zero control, which is almost everything, we actually do have dominion over what we put in our mouth. And our choices just need to follow that. Some choices are going to be I want the lemonade and the carrot cake with the cream cheese icing and maybe a second slice. I mean, that's someone's decision to make. So I'm very grateful for this person sharing their experience. And side note, um, their father passed not that long ago. And this person, it's only been the two of them. Um, the their mother passed when they were 6 months old, and it's just been dad and child for many years. And so this was tough, but they have not gone off course. Whereas they've shared that on previous heartache, and is there a larger heartache than losing someone you're so close to? Food would have been, front and center. So there's one lesson there. You can do it even at your father's wake. You can resist the food that maybe you used to eat. And leading by example is kind of the only way to do it. We can't browbeat or cajole or trick anyone into making better food choices any more than we can with their choice of alcohol or opioids or smoking or being, you know, serial Casanovas or anything like that. We can't do that for anyone else. It must come from us. And when that does come from us, it can be for many different reasons. Mine, as you may know, I was overweight, obese, and morbidly obese for 30 years, from my mid 20s to my mid 50s. I had tried all this stuff. You can go to my blog and see some of my, not even before photos, because those don't exist. You can come on in, babe. I had already prepped them, my producers coming in, that they might hear the sound of a chainsaw. But anyway, that did not happen. Ho, 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 love a man with a chainsaw. Anyway, I've often said one of my favorite things is standing, sitting on the patio furniture and watching my husband work in the backyard. Anywho, I had given up on losing weight. I had some other triathlons. Blah, 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 blah. I tried the, juicing and the low fat and the move more, eat less. At one point or another, belonged to, 5 different gyms. And I'd thrown my hands up and said, it's not going to work. I am just destined to be fat. And so let's just embrace it. But I don't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. So maybe this is why this was poignant to me, sharing this story. Because I really didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. I've had cancer 3 times. Once whilst I was pregnant, an invasive cancer, and found out when I was pregnant. That kid just turned 35, so we're good. But then 2 more times subsequently over the next 15 years. Okay, somehow I could take that. But I couldn't take facing my family and saying, I'm going to have to go on insulin because I decide that tortilla chips are more important than my health or my feet or my kidneys or my eyesight. So the idea that a person has had a medical device implanted in their body so that they can eat the food they want, it does not compute with me. No judgment. I'm not throwing shade. That would just be, I didn't want to take even my own injection for insulin, much less have something implanted in me so that I could, let's face it, get away with eating food that does not serve me. And after a while, you're going to need more and more insulin. Pump's going to put out more and more food, and it's going to be a bad thing. And insulin is inflammatory. So it might help, maybe help regulate your blood sugar, but then if all your joints hurt all the time, if you have acid reflux, if you break out in a rash, but we don't get a vote on what the cousin's wife decides to do. Our friend who wrote this comment and wisely did not offer a vote because we can't do that. And it's all often counterproductive. We need to show the same respect for ourselves when someone butt-inskis and looks, kind of crazy at our plate and says, "What? You are eating a ribeye, but you won't eat a potato?" Yes, that's correct. I will eat a ribeye, but I won't eat a potato. Well, that's crazy. Thank you for your input. Another county heard from, but nobody gets a vote on what I eat or what you eat. And we don't get a vote on what anyone else eats. I've often shared I don't know if I've shared it publicly. I've definitely shared it on Patreon, where I got a phone call from my husband. This was, my husband, like our writer, my lovely mate, started following this protocol about 6 months after I did. Never a weight problem, never had to think about his weight. It was never, oh my gosh, I'm so fat, people look at me and point and laugh. No, it never had that. He didn't have an unhealthy relationship with food. But he heard the same medical lectures I was listening to about, do we need carbohydrate? How about athletic performance? When you're burning ketones, and he's a cyclist. And so he said, let's give that a try. So we both follow the protocol. So we were kind of into it, and he was really enthusiastic. And of course, he lost the few extra pounds he had been carrying in about 13 hours. Man, called me from Costco. Babe, there's a woman in front of me in line. She can't really stand up. She's leaning on her cart. And she has to have her feet wide apart because her legs are so thick and heavy, and she's so large, and her cart is full of food she should not eat. Can I tell her about Go Keto with Casey? I said, absolutely not. Under no circumstances are you to tap a stranger on the shoulder in the Costco. No. But he was enthusiastic. He wasn't doing it to embarrass. He did it. He wanted to help, and he has helped people. When he travels to Colombia, there's a guy that was bedridden and was told he would probably lose his legs below the knees. And that guy now is back to doing construction work and is singing the praises of the protocol. So we can do that if someone is open to the message, but we don't get a vote on what anyone buys at the Costco. We don't get a vote on what our kids eat. Well, our children, yeah, unless they're doing the grocery shopping themselves. We do get a vote on that. Sidebar, we call it junk food, and then we serve it to our children. Anywho, that's really the message. We might really want to help someone who is in pain. I go back to early days of Go Keto with Casey Patreon group. And there was a person who shared that they were in a hospital room because their father had just had a foot amputated from type 2 diabetes. And this person was trying to encourage their father, Dad, if you can just give this a try. And not unlike the cousin's wife, the father said, after having a foot amputated, listen, I'll stay on the insulin, but I'm not giving up dessert. Okay. So we can only do what we can do. And people can only do what they're ready to do. It's vexing, particularly when we truly feel like we have a helpful, easy, well, simple, not necessarily easy solution. But why is it not easy? Because we have to change our eating habits that we have created over decades. Even if you're 25 years old, you probably have 2 decades of eating habits under your, no pun intended, belt. So, that having been said, I'm going to have a little self promotion break. You do not have to buy one thing to be 100% successful at this protocol. Not one thing. But I will sell you a green book journal every day. You can go to my blog, and the green journal is in the sidebar. Click it, goes to Amazon. It's got tracking pages and quotes and all sorts of stuff. Casey's Go Keto with Casey's 12-month record book, or a quarter zip pullover, or water bottles, whatever. You can see a link to my merch below. But you don't have to buy anything. I do have a private support group on Patreon, which is where the comment that I shared came from. You can see a link to that below as well. You can have a 7-day free trial, but if you stick around for $5 a month, you get 20 pre-recorded video snippets every weekday morning, even when I'm in travel status or on the farm in Colombia. And going up from there, patron-only live streams, and going up from there, one-on-ones with me. Commercial over. If you're not into any of that, if you could give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, that also helps. Thank you. Now, to the comments of those people who are sharing here, and I have to scroll up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks. Hello, friends. Y'all make my Saturday mornings, writes Mother Hubbard. And DH writes, love your sense of humor. I have a friend who is more vegan and really pushes fruit intake as a main staple. I don't eat much fruit and don't seem to miss them much at all. Of course, now, fruit is sugar. So that's not even on the protocol, but if you can get away with it, great. Now, I will say berries are a little bit different than, say, an apple or an orange. Berries are lower glycemic, and occasionally I'll make a smoothie for my husband when he's back from a bike ride, and I'll throw a handful of strawberries and a handful of homegrown blueberries in there, along with some whey protein and all that. But no, fruit is sugar. And, our liver doesn't really care. It can be an apple, a bran muffin, a slice of Ezekiel bread, or a Snickers bar. It comes out as glucose into our body. Good morning, all from Michigan, writes Judy Porterfield. Karen Callahan, hello, love. Okay, I'm going to add this one to the... Karen writes, I think so many people are not taught, and their doctors push the medications. I mentioned to my friend, type 2 diabetes, that she could possibly reverse her type 2. Her response was, quote, sorry, but I have no desire to eat how you eat. You've always been about health, and I'm not interested. End quote. And so I changed the subject. Let's think about that. I'm not interested in my health. Okay, well, you may not be now, but wait until the foot gets amputated. And it doesn't have to be that extreme. We don't have to look to amputations. We can just look to physical discomfort, to ever widening girth, making it harder to move around, impact on our joints because we weigh more than we should. And then you start checking out of life. Well, I can't go on that hike. Ugh, I'd never make it. And I've been there. I went on a hike with our family when my kids were younger, and I had to stop. And I broke into tears. I had to sit down on a rock. I said, I can't go any further. And I cried. I told them to go on without me, which they wouldn't do. Now, fast forward another, I don't know, can't tell you how many years it was. I mean, our kids were young. They weren't tiny children, but they were young. Fast forward, my husband and I hiked that exact same trail, except we took the challenging fork and got to the top of Hanging Rock. I did that. But I couldn't when I was heavier, hurt too much. And I felt so badly about myself. Yeah, I'm not interested in health. Okay. And if you really aren't, somebody you love might be interested in your health. And you might be deciding, someone will take care of me. You're just offloading concern about your health onto someone else or onto the healthcare system. Judy Porterfield writes, okay, here we come. Share this one as well. I try to read these cold, but if it's a nice long one, I share it. Judy writes, every Saturday I've had family gatherings of some sort. Finally, get to catch a live. Yay. Yes, happened recently. Everyone has to judge your food. So frustrating. Yet I've lost 20 pounds in 3 months, but not a word about that, which is fine, but don't judge. Isn't that interesting? They want to overlook the fact that you've lost 20 pounds in 3 months. They'd rather give you, cachet at your food choices. And why do we think that is? Because if they say, wow, you've lost 20 pounds, that's great. How did you do it? Oh, I did it by eating the food that I eat. They don't want to know that yet. Maybe they will. For my part, I have been very well supported by my coworkers when I was working in an office environment and I was actively losing. Certainly my family, my spouse, my kids, my friends, supportive. At least to my face. But I think they're supportive anyway. The only egregious disparagement was from a tertiary friend of a secondary level friend. It was a friend of a friend of a friend who just tried to school me on the body's need for carbohydrate. This was after I'd lost about 40 pounds and was feeling really good. So I considered the source. But that's really kind of the only outlandish incident. And yes, Karen writes, Judy. Oh, and I had lots of people ask how I lost so much weight, which I told them I do have some supporters. Excellent. That's good. Sardines, Judy. If those of you don't know why I'm saying sardines, Judy Porterfield is patron. And on more than one of our patron-only live streams in a chat like this, which is on Crowdcast, someone had shared a victory, and Judy wrote, sardines! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Okay, I said, sardines. She said, oh, autocorrect. She had typed in awesome and it came out sardines. So now it's a rallying cry around Patreon. You can even buy a sticker or a mug that says sardines. It's like an inside joke, No one needs to know what it means except you. Sardines, aka awesome. If we can learn to not be essentially pushed around about regarding our food choices, one way or the other, if my husband came in and I was eating something, that I haven't eaten in 11 years, he might say, babe, is everything okay? Are you all right? And I would say, yeah, I just felt like it. I don't know what the response would be. And it wouldn't be mean. I hope. I don't think he would be. I've never tested the theory. We do often, or I look at him. I said it about 2 days ago. We were watching something. I said, man, let's go to the movies and get a giant bucket of extra buttery popcorn. Yeah, okay, let's do it. How can we do that? It's like a pipe dream, then we don't do it. I'm not going to do it. But no one gets a vote on what we eat, and we don't get a vote on other people's choices. And in most things in life, we shouldn't have a vote, but certainly not what someone eats. Oh, Karen writes, yep, most of my support comes from right here. Well, you've got our support, Karen. If you want to give us an update on your husband, please do so. Karen has been very transparent and has shared several weeks ago that her husband is in-home hospice, esophageal cancer. And when I was, just amazed at Karen's ability to deal with it, she shared that she was a hospice worker for like 25 years, doing the Lord's work. Oh, so sorry, Karen writes, Judy. Yeah. And Karen has not turned to food. It sounds trite. It sounds so trivial. Okay, I was at my father's wake and I didn't turn to food. My husband is in hospice and I have not turned to food. Now you think, okay, very important, important, important. And who cares what you're eating? But if our writer of the comment had turned to food and had a slice of that carrot cake themselves, their dad would still be gone. Yeah, again, sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Oh, and by the way, speaking of loss, and this is not equatable, I've been very fortunate. Both of my parents are gone, and have been gone a long time. My father was walking metabolic syndrome. He would have rocked keto. It was designed for someone like him, but didn't know. Our dog Jack, good guy Jack, is struggling. He's okay. We're keeping him as happy as possible. And when it's Jack's time, that's going to be a hard day around here, and I better not talk too much more about it because I'll cry. Even the anticipation of it. But whatever happens with Jack, a big bucket of buttery popcorn won't fix it. He's asleep right there. He's snoring. You might be able to hear him. Okay, Karen writes, the only update. Okay, let me put this on screen because I think people, and also if you're watching this on replay on YouTube, you can't see the chat. So I think this helps. Karen writes, the only update is we, quote, might be taking a road trip to Bozeman, Montana, 6 hours, and stay in our daughter's company's lovely cottages. It's on his bucket list, so we're trying to make this happen. Good luck. And do that bucket list, baby. 6-hour travel, I know you can handle it, but wow, wow, wow. Good for you guys. And Judy Porterfield writes, yes, that's true. And the difference is now I know how bad it will make me feel on top of everything else you're going through. And she writes, oh, that's awesome, Karen. Poor little Jack. Poor old Jack. His hindquarters are going out from under him. So this morning, my husband had to come downstairs straight out of the shower and help him stand up. But then he was able to walk and go outside. So we deal with what we need to deal, that with which we need to deal. Oh, by the way, this is totally random. I updated the header on my blog, which is caseydurango.com, because I'm going to be adding to the focus of my writing, and I might be adding to the focus of this channel. So the banner, instead of say Go Keto with Casey, says Casey Durango. The next thing, and I changed the graphics. I would very much like to, if you take the time to go and look, just let me know your opinion. You can shoot me a message on my blog or whatever, because I've been doing this. Well, I just got a little happy anniversary from YouTube. Happy 9th anniversary on your channel. 9 years. So I'd been doing keto for like 2.5 years before I started this. But, the message. Oh, Karen writes, I love that you're expanding. Please, I'm trying not to expand. See, that would have been a joke back in my fat days. I've been trying not to expand. I'm trying to contract. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate that. Sardines, Casey, writes Judy. I don't know how many times I've shared what has worked for me. Different paths can lead to the same destination. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer. Total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein and limited amounts of full-fat dairy and limited amounts of non-starchy vegetables. Those last two are not obligatory. You don't have to eat them if you don't want. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop eating when you've had enough. I don't know how many times. Well, I've had the channel for 9 years. And I have a Patreon group that I make. Monday's going to be my 2000th snippet on Patreon. My 2000th snippet, morning snippet on Patreon. So I've said that at least, I don't know, a lot. And it hasn't changed. The message has not changed because the protocol has not changed for me. I have, I've regulated how much I eat because I require less food because I'm older and because I'm smaller. So that has changed what I my but the framework has not changed. I keep my carbs 20 grams or fewer. I don't eat if I'm not hungry most days. I stop eating when I've had enough most days. And I'm patient and I persevere. So I would love the feedback. I might change the banner on this channel as well because it's kind of tired looking, isn't it? Judy writes, cool. Oh, Casey, I've updated my payment info and I'm still not getting the snippets and info. Ugh. Okay, well, I can't change that, Judy. Let me see. You might need to reach out to Patreon, but if you want to let me know, I'm happy to help in any way I can. I just don't have any access to even see what your payment info was. Just had to update my card as it was compromised. Jerks. All right, friends. Make it a meaningful day. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer. Total, not net. Don't eat if you're not hungry, friends. Stop eating when you've had enough. Push the peckishness and eat slowly. I mean, just little pro tips. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. It means a lot to me. And I hope to see you next Saturday. Same place, same time. God willing, and the creek don't rise. Bye. Judy writes, have a good weekend, everyone. Yay. Bye.